Hi, everyone, and welcome. I'm Jorge Lopez. I'm a senior product manager at Microsoft Identity from Atlanta, Georgia. A bit later, I'll be joined by my peer Swapnil Maldhure, who is about 10,000 miles away from me in Dublin, Ireland. Today, we're talking to you about a new tool currently in public preview that will assist you with your Microsoft Entra ID, formerly Azure AD migration needs, helping you transition from Active Directory Federation Services or ADFS. We will begin by looking at why you should migrate away from ADFS and begin using Microsoft Entra ID. Second, we'll discuss how to migrate, including migration phases and discovery apps that support this activity. Third, we'll complete a demo of our new ADFS application migration tool. We'll also walk you through the tool's migration capabilities and reporting details that should prove beneficial. We'll conclude with a list of resources that will further aid your migration journey. For optimal app security, your best approach is to have a single set of unified access controls and policies across your on-premises and cloud environments. By moving your app authentication to Microsoft Entra ID, you will be able to more effectively manage risks and costs, increase productivity, and ensure you're meeting compliance and governance requirements. Microsoft Entra ID is not Active Directory in the cloud. It is an identity management service that enables multiple scenarios and provides numerous benefits. It empowers organizations to manage and secure identities so employees, partners, and customers can access the applications and services they need. Microsoft Entra ID is our full-on cloud-based identity and access management service that provides a single sign-on and multi-factor authentication for various applications and services, both on-premises and in the cloud. It aids you managing users and groups, enforcing access policies, and securing identities against cyber threats. Improved security, increased productivity, and reduced cost are the top 3 wins customers experience by migrating from ADFS to Microsoft Entra ID. Not knowing where to start on your migration journey is usually the hard part, and typically stems from either one or a combination of organizational or technical factors. Migrating all your apps to Microsoft Entra ID consolidates your security solutions, giving you a full view of all risk factors. This can help you take advantage of the benefits of cloud applications while maintaining control of your corporate resources. By fully utilizing one Microsoft Entra ID infrastructure that you likely already own, allows you to significantly reduce IAM costs. You reduce administrative overhead by managing only a single identity for each user across cloud and on-premises environments, which in turn supplies an improved return of investment. Initiating migrations activities requires answering some business questions around your existing applications, and then using that information to classify them. Focus on 3 areas: business criticality, usage, and expected lifespan, using a scale from 0 to 10, with 0 having the lowest impact and 10 having the highest. You should look to deprecate systems where functionality highly redundant with other systems, no business ownership, and there's no clear usage. And now that you've considered the apps to deprecate, here are some pointers for the apps you should migrate, which include apps to have modern authentication protocols ready, legacy authentication protocols to modernize, legacy authentication protocols not to modernize, or new line of businesses apps. Once you've considered all the applications in your environment, you want to look to complete the following activities for an initial migration. Integrate apps only in Microsoft Entra ID. Enable password hashing, install Microsoft Entra Connect Health for ADFS, start discovering your applications, and secure your apps with conditional access policies. Now, let's dive a little into how to migrate to Microsoft Entra ID and some of the important phases to consider along your application migration journey. While the physical migration is primarily IT-focused, operations and business users needs to be involved throughout the process. An important element to consider right at the start of your application migration project is the project team itself. Think of the migration in 4 phases to prioritize migrations and achieve success with minimal business impact. First, discover and scope your existing applications in ADFS, as previously mentioned in the preceding slide. Leave any apps that are about to be the end of life and are not required to be migrated. Classify your apps, which will help you build a plan and identify those that are good candidates for migration. Now, execute on migrating all the apps to Microsoft Entra ID. Cut over the federation from ADFS to Microsoft Entra ID's native cloud authentication. Once all of the above activities are completed, decommission your ADFS farm. Check out aka.ms/migrate apps to learn more. A couple of years ago, we created a tool to help you discover and create an inventory of your apps in ADFS, the Microsoft Entra Connect Help for ADFS. This is an agent that needs to be installed on all the servers on your ADFS farm. Once installed, the ADFS sign-ins will be integrated with the Microsoft Entra ID sign-in logs. And good news, we have created recently a new capability called Microsoft Entra ID Usage and Insights Application Migration. The new migration dashboard will include existing ADFS migration report, along with new assisted migration tab that provides a guided experience to migrate relying party applications from Active Directory Federation services to Microsoft Entra ID with minimal effort. I will now turn over this presentation to Swapnil to discuss our ADFS to Microsoft Entra ID application migration tool, currently in public preview, to aid customers and partners with migration activities. Before I hand the presentation over, I wanted to take a minute to highlight that this tool was not created without thought and feedback. We heard the feedback regarding the importance of unblocking customer migration experiences and expressed a desire for enhanced guidance and assistive tools to support the migration efforts. In response to this valuable input, we listened and crafted this new experience with your comments and feedback in mind. Swapnil, it's all yours.
Thanks, Oi. As Oi mentioned, we are excited to bring you a tool that can help you to reprioritize your migration journey, as this tool will help you to simplify the process. The ADFS application migration tool provides a unified guided experience to migrate the applications from ADFS to Microsoft Entra ID. The application migration feature is an extension to an ADFS application activity report feature. The ADFS application activity report section will be deprecated once the ADFS application feature is generally available. The tool is currently in a public preview and can be accessed from the Usage and Insights section of Enterprise Application and Monitoring and Health section within Microsoft Entra ID portal. The ADFS application migration tool is designed to provide end-to-end support to migrate on-premises ADFS applications to Microsoft Entra ID through a unified guided experience. The experience will allow our customers to evaluate ADFS relying party applications sign-in activities, which will help admin to identify usage and impact of given applications. It also helps admins to analyze the ADFS to Microsoft Entra ID migration feasibility that helps admin to identify the migration blockers or actions required to migrate their application to Microsoft Entra ID. We also offer a one-click application configuration into Microsoft Entra ID that will automatically configure a new Microsoft Entra ID application and service principal for the given relying party applications. To get an ADFS application migration tool rendered for your tenant, following are the prerequisites. You should have an ADFS environment with relying party applications serving signing traffic within the last 30 days. The Microsoft Entra Connect should be installed on your on-premises environment. All ADFS servers should have Microsoft Entra Connect Health Agent for ADFS installed. The ADFS application migration is a premium feature. Hence, you should have a Microsoft Entra ID P1 or P2 license. Users should have a global administrator, application administrator, or the cloud application administrator role assigned to access this feature. Users with a report or the report and the security reader role will be able to analyze the report. However, won't be able to migrate the applications. Now getting into a one-click configuration capability. The one-click configuration tool uses the data that is imported directly from your on-premises environment. The tool will auto-configure the application with user assignments, SAML settings, and the claim configuration on one single click. Once a new application is configured into your Microsoft Entra ID tenant, you can modify it further from the portal itself. Once you are happy with your application configuration, you can redirect the sign-in traffic to your newly configured Microsoft Entra ID application. There are some scenarios which are currently not supported in this version of the tool. However, the future tool version may include some or most of these features. The current unsupported features include support for the OpenID Connect, OAuth, or WS-FRED protocol-based authentication. This version supports SAML application configuration only. The custom claim providers are not supported. Automated conditional access policies configuration is not supported. However, the customer can manually configure those after the migration. The tool does not support any modification to the imported configuration. The imported data will be used for the Microsoft Entra ID application configuration as it is. Auto configuration of claims transformation is not supported. Customers should have Microsoft Entra Connect installed on their on-premises environment so that users or groups should exist at the time of migration. In case user identities are not found, those items will be omitted. Now that I have discussed the tool's intent, capabilities, prerequisite, and unsupported features, let me demo this new offering.
This is the ADFS application migration feature, which is currently available for public preview. The feature is available on both Microsoft Entra ID portal and Azure portal. On Entra portal, you can find it under the Usage and Insights section of Monitoring and Health section. The feature can also be accessed from the Usage and Insights section of Enterprise application. The ADFS application migration feature is nothing but an extension to an existing ADFS application activity report, which is available within the same section. The ADFS application activity report is the legacy feature which shares the similar information. However, it is used for the analysis of relying party applications only, whereas the new application migration experience will also allow you to auto-configure a new application into your Microsoft Entra tenant. Both features shows details around the relying party applications which are imported directly from your on-premises ADFS environment. On global release of ADFS application migration feature, we are planning to deprecate the ADFS application activity section. Now let's move forward to the new unified ADFS application migration experience. First of all, on top of the blade, you can see the download button which will export all relying party applications data for offline analysis. The next section provides the high-level steps required for the migration of any ADFS application to Microsoft Entra ID. The migration guide will help you with all the information which is required for the migration of any relying party application to Entra ID. The ADFS application migration feature itself will help you to configure a new Microsoft Entra ID application for your relying party applications. You can further update the configurations using the Microsoft Entra portal, Azure portal, or Microsoft Graph APIs. Finally, you can redirect the sign-in traffic to the newly configured Microsoft Entra ID application whenever you are happy with its configurations. Next section is the date range filter. The date range filter allows user to select all the active relying party applications as per the selected time range. Filter supports 1 day, 7 day, 30 days period. All the data displayed on the blade will be fetched as per the selected filter value. Next on the blade, you can see the choice boxes. The boxes shows the count of total applications, configurable applications, and previously configured applications. This view will provide you an overview of the progress of your overall migration work. Let's discuss about each box, starting with All Apps. All Apps tab shows all the active relying party applications from the selected date range. User can analyze the impact of each application by using the aggregated sign-in data. They can also navigate to the details blade by using the link on the migration status. Here, the migration status is the computed property, which indicates the feasibility of application migration. It has 3 possible values, such as ready, needs review, or additional steps required. The ready status indicates that the ADFS application configuration is fully supported on Microsoft Entra ID and can be migrated as it is. The needs review status indicates that the application is using few features which are not currently supported on Microsoft Entra ID. However, those are not blockers for the migration. Whereas the additional steps required means that Microsoft Entra ID doesn't support some of the application settings, so the applications cannot be migrated in its current state. User can use the migration status link to navigate to the details blade. There they can get more details around the application validation results. Feature also shares more details and recommendation around each configuration setting. In this case, here are the certain rules which are not supported on Microsoft Entra ID, which needs to be investigated further for the migration. The additional details and the recommendations are also available along with the same, which will help you to identify the root cause. Next tab is Ready to Migrate. This tab shows all the applications which has a migration status as ready or needs review. User can use the sign-in data to identify the impact of each application and select the right application for the migration. By using the Begin Migration link, user can initiate the assisted application migration process. We will come back to this point later in the demo. Now let's move to the next step, which is Ready to Configure. This tab shows list of all the Entra applications which were previously migrated using ADFS application migration feature. The application name is the name of new Entra ID application. The application identifier is same as the relying party application identifier, which can be used to correlate the application with your ADFS environment. And the configure application link will help you to navigate to the newly configured Entra application within the enterprise application section. Now let's go back to the Ready to Migrate tab and try to migrate one application. Let's say we want to migrate the 𝗦𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 app from the list. For that, we have to use the Begin Migration link to enter into a migration wizard. This is the application migration wizard, which shows all the configurations which are directly imported from users' on-premises ADFS environment. Let's start with the Basics tab. The first setting is application name, which is pre-populated with relying party application name. This will be used as a name from your new Entra ID application. User can modify this as per their need. The next is the application template. Here, user can select the application template which they found most suitable for their application. Please note that only the SAML application templates are available here, as feature supports SAML application configuration only. Next tab is users and groups. All the groups here are extracted from the access control policies of ADFS application. These groups are also synced into your tenant using Microsoft Entra Connect. In case groups are mapped with your relying party application but are not synced with the Entra tenant, then those groups will be skipped from the configuration. Feature mainly support access policies such as allow all users from the tenant, allow specific user groups, or deny specific user groups. Currently, this is a read-only view. User cannot make any changes to this group list. Let's move to the next tab, which is SAML configuration. This tab shows the basic SAML properties which will be used for the single sign-on setting of Microsoft Entra ID application. Currently, only the required properties are mapped, which are identifier and the reply URL. For the demo purpose, I have configured the claims X-ray URL as a reply URL so that later we can use it for the Microsoft Entra sign-in test. Next tab is claims. All ADFS claims does not get translated as it is to the Microsoft Entra ID claims. Hence, the migration feature supports specific claims only. It may not cover all the claims which are configured for your relying party application. However, user can configure more claims after the configuration of application into Entra ID. In case relying party application has name identifier configured which supports the Entra ID, then it will be configured as a name identifier. Otherwise, user principal name will be used as a default name identifier claim. Again, this is a read-only view only. User cannot make any changes here. Let's move forward to the next step section. The next step section will provide information about the next steps or reviews which are expected from the user side. Here in this case, it is showing the list of configurations for this relying party application which are not supported on Microsoft Entra ID. The feature will also recommend you to the relevant documentation to investigate this further. Next and final step is Review and Create. Here you will get a summary of all the configurations which you have selected and shown on the previous tab. You can review it once again. If you are happy with all the configurations and you want to go ahead for the application configuration into your Microsoft Entra ID tenant, then you can use the Create button to start the process. This will configure a new application into your Microsoft Entra ID tenant. The application configuration is the 9-step process, which you can monitor using the notifications. Here, the workflow will create application, service principal, configure SAML settings, assign groups to your application, and configure claims for you. Once application configuration is complete, you will get redirected to the Ready to Configure tab, where all previously migrated applications are shown, including the one which is just migrated now. As our application is successfully configured now, We can use the Configure Application link to navigate to the newly configured application under the Enterprise Application section. By default, you will land into a single sign-on tab of your application. Now we are on the single sign-on blade of newly configured SAML application under Enterprise Application section of the portal, which you can use for the further configuration updates. Here you can see that all the relying party application settings are already applied to the application. You can see that the identifier and the reply URL properties from the basic SAML configuration section and the list of claims from the attributes and claim sections are same as our application settings. If we navigate to the properties section, you can see that the application template logo, which implies that the application is linked with the selected application template. Within Owners tab, the current administrator user has been added as one of the owner of the application. And finally, within the users and group, all required groups are already assigned to the application. Now for this demo, I'm going to add my current user as a user for this particular application. This will allow me to use the integrated test environment for the testing. Now, as I have added the user, let's go back to the SSO setting and try to test the feature. Here you can see that we have successfully signed in against the newly configured application. The SAML token response contains all the claims which we have configured using ADFS application migration experience. That's all from the demo. I hope you have enjoyed the demo. I look forward to you really experiencing the tool once it is generally available. I will now turn this presentation back over to 𝗲𝗲 to close us out. Thank you.
Thank you for the great demo, Swapnil. I would like to echo his excitement for this new tool offering. With this new ADFS application migration tool, coupled with our stage rollout capabilities, we're hopeful that we're now making your journey to Microsoft Entra ID easier than ever. Before we conclude this session, we wanted to leave you with a few more treasures. Here, you can find a list of resources that you can refer to as you start or continue your ADFS to Microsoft Entra ID migration journey. We would also like to highlight our other security-related sessions here at Ignite that we would like you to check out. Thank you, Swapnil, and thanks for joining our on-demand session. We hope you continue to enjoy your Ignite experience.